So, hopefully, you're watching this because you want to be agile in business. It's a really good thing to be agile, to be able to adapt to change quickly. But to do that, you need a foundation for your teams that has two different views, of which most teams only have one of those views typically. And I want to show you both and how they interact with each other. So, those two views are status, which everybody has, and then priority, which most teams are lacking. And let's take a look at how that plays out in a tool, right? So here we are, we're looking at a status view. It's a Kanban backlog, to do, in progress, blocks, done and closed. This is doing the work. It is moving things from left to right and getting them done. So this is very typical. But the view that you need in order to be agile is to make sure that you're doing the right things, that the things you're working on, that you're moving from left to right, are in alignment with the strategy of making sure you're working on the right stuff. So that view is going to look like this. It's going to be using a prioritization framework. We use now, next, next plus one, and maybe. So you want something similar to this. I'm looking at the exact same cards, right? About 25 items, but here I get to put my business priorities and I can change those, and it's independent of the status, right? So I can decide that this thing is more important than that thing, and I can just drag it up, or I can drop them down from bucket to bucket. There's a lot of nuance on why we have these buckets. I'll go into that later. But yeah, you can move things up and down. And this is business priorities, and this is agility. So these are two separate views that look at the same thing, but then you want to be able to see across those views, which is very easy to do. I hid those originally, so I'm in the priority view. I'll put the status back in, and you can see here's where the status is at based on my priorities. And I can go back to my status view, and I can turn on my view into the priorities. So each one lets me see, am I aligned? When I'm looking at status, am I doing the things that align with our priorities? If I'm looking at our priorities, are people doing the things that align or not doing them with the strategy? So I hope you found that helpful.